Do you want to successfully complete the C100 Objective Assessment exam? Then you are in the right place. Our website provides a list of questions and answers for your success in the C100 OA exam for free. We understand that acing your OA exam can be quite challenging. That's why we provide completely free exam guides and practice questions for you. In this video, we will cover questions from literary devices, literary movements, narrative techniques, poetry and poetics, and genre and form. So, let's get started. 1. Which literary device is often used to create a contrast between expectation and reality? A. Alliteration. B. Irony. C. Symbolism. D. Foreshadowing. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Irony. Explanation: option B is correct because irony is a literary device that highlights the discrepancy between what is expected to happen and what actually happens. This contrast can be used for humorous, tragic, or critical effect. Option A is incorrect because alliteration is the repetition of the same initial consonant sounds in a series of words, used for poetic or stylistic effect, not to create a contrast in meaning. Option C is incorrect because symbolism involves using an object, person, or idea to represent a deeper, abstract meaning. While it adds layers to a text, its primary function isn't to contrast expectation and reality. Option D is incorrect because foreshadowing is a technique used to hint at future events, building suspense and setting up expectations rather than contrasting them with reality. 2. What's the primary characteristic of postmodern literature? A. A focus on realism and accurate depictions of life. B. The rejection of grand narratives and absolute truths. C. A linear and cohesive narrative structure. D. The use of traditional forms and styles. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. The rejection of grand narratives and absolute truths. Explanation. Option B is correct because postmodern literature is defined by its skepticism towards overarching universal explanations for the world. It often embraces fragmentation, ambiguity, and the idea that truth is subjective and constructed. Option A is incorrect because a focus on realism is a hallmark of the realist literary movement, which postmodernism often questions, subverts, or parodies. Option C is incorrect because postmodern literature frequently employs fragmented, non-linear, and unreliable narratives, directly opposing a traditionally cohesive and linear structure. Option D is incorrect because postmodern writers often challenge, deconstruct, and play with traditional forms and styles rather than adhering to them. 3. In which literary movement is the concept of the absurd most prominently explored? A. Romanticism. B. Modernism. C. Existentialism. D. Naturalism. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, C. Existentialism. Explanation. Option C is correct because existentialism, particularly in the theatre of the absurd, directly confronts the conflict between humanity's search for inherent meaning and the apparent meaninglessness of the universe. Option A is incorrect because romanticism emphasizes emotion, individualism, and the beauty of nature, which is thematically different from the concept of the absurd. Option B is incorrect because while modernism deals with themes of fragmentation and disillusionment after World War I, existentialism is the movement that specifically focuses on the philosophical concept of the absurd. Option D is incorrect because naturalism applies scientific principles like determinism and heredity to its subjects, suggesting that characters are controlled by their environment, a different focus from the philosophical void explored in absurdism. 4. Which of the following authors is known for their use of stream of consciousness? A. Mark Twain. B. James Joyce. C. Charles Dickens. D. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. James Joyce. Explanation. Option B is correct because James Joyce is one of the most famous pioneers of the stream of consciousness technique, most notably in his novels Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake, where he attempts to capture the free-flowing, unfiltered thoughts of his characters. Option A is incorrect because Mark Twain is known for his realism, regionalism and humour, using a more direct and colloquial narrative style. Option C is incorrect because Charles Dickens is known for his intricate plots, social commentary, and memorable characters, but his narrative style is that of a more traditional, omniscient narrator. Option D is incorrect because Nathaniel Hawthorne, a dark romantic author, focused on themes of sin and guilt, using allegory and symbolism, not the stream of consciousness technique. 5. What role does setting play in Gothic literature? A. It serves as a backdrop without influence on the plot. B. It is a crucial element that creates mood and atmosphere. C. It is often minimal and secondary to character development. D. It emphasises contemporary urban life and modernity. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. It is a crucial element that creates mood and atmosphere. Explanation. Option B is correct, because in Gothic literature, the setting is fundamental. It is used to build an atmosphere of suspense, horror, and mystery, often becoming a character in its own right. Option A is incorrect because the setting in Gothic fiction is never a passive backdrop. It actively influences the plot and characters' psychological states. Option C is incorrect because the setting is paramount in Gothic literature, often being as important, if not more so, than the characters themselves in establishing the genre's tone. Option D is incorrect because Gothic literature typically emphasises ancient, decaying, and remote settings to evoke a sense of the past, haunting the present, rather than focusing on contemporary urban life. 6. Which of the following best defines magical realism? A. A strict adherence to realism without fantastical elements. B. The incorporation of magical elements into a realistic setting. C. A genre focused solely on the supernatural and fantasy. D. A style that avoids emotional depth. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. The incorporation of magical elements into a realistic setting. Explanation. Option B is correct, because magical realism is characterised by the blending of the mundane and the fantastical. Magical or supernatural events are presented in a realistic, everyday tone, as if they are a normal part of life. Option A is incorrect because this describes the genre of realism, which is the opposite of magical realism. Option C is incorrect because magical realism is distinct from high fantasy. It is grounded in a realistic world, whereas fantasy genres often create entirely separate, supernatural worlds with their own rules. Option D is incorrect because magical realism often uses its fantastical elements to explore deep emotional, social, and political themes. 7. How does the concept of focalization function in narrative? A. It refers to the perspective through which a story is told. B. It denotes the central theme of a literary work. C. It emphasizes the author's voice over the characters. D. It describes the physical setting of the narrative. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, A. It refers to the perspective through which a story is told. Explanation. Option A is correct, because focalization is a term from narratology that describes the lens or perspective through which the narrative is presented. It determines whose point of view orients the reader's perception of the story's events. Option B is incorrect because the central message or idea of a work is its theme, not its focalization. Option C is incorrect because focalization can actually do the opposite. It often emphasizes a character's perspective, limiting the reader's knowledge to what that character sees or knows. Option D is incorrect because the physical setting is simply the time and place of the story, not the perspective from which it is viewed. 8. In which way does dystopian literature often serve as a critique? A. By glorifying government and authority. B. By presenting ideal societies without flaws. C. By exaggerating social issues to highlight their consequences. D. By focusing solely on individual character development. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. By exaggerating social issues to highlight their consequences. Explanation. Option C is correct, because dystopian literature functions as social and political critique by taking current trends, social problems, or political ideologies to an extreme negative conclusion, thus warning readers about their potential dangers. Option A is incorrect because dystopian literature almost always critiques and warns against oppressive government and total authority rather than glorifying them. Option B is incorrect because this describes utopian literature. Dystopian works present deeply flawed, oppressive societies. Option D is incorrect because while individual character development is important, the primary goal of dystopian fiction is to critique the society in which the character lives. 9. Which term refers to a story that serves as an extended metaphor for a broader message? A. Allegory. B. Satire. C. Parable. D. Fable. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, A. Allegory. Explanation. Option A is correct because an allegory is a narrative in which characters, events, and settings have a secondary, symbolic meaning. The entire story functions as an extended metaphor to convey a moral, spiritual, or political message. Option B is incorrect because satire uses humour, irony, or exaggeration to critique folly and vice, but it is not necessarily an extended metaphor. Option C is incorrect because a parable is a very short and simple story designed to teach a moral or spiritual lesson, while similar, an allegory is typically longer and more complex. Option D is incorrect because a fable is a short story, typically with animals as characters that conveys a moral. It is a type of allegory, but allegory is the broader and more precise term for an extended metaphor. 10. How do romantic poets typically view nature? A. As a chaotic force that should be tamed. B. As a mere backdrop for human actions. C. As a source of inspiration and spirituality. D. As irrelevant to human experience. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. As a source of inspiration and spirituality. Explanation. Option C is correct because poets of the Romantic movement saw nature as a powerful divine force that could inspire awe, provide spiritual solace, and offer profound insights into the human condition and the universe. Option A is incorrect because Romantics celebrated the wild, untamed aspects of nature, seeing its power as sublime rather than something to be controlled. Option B is incorrect because for Romantics, nature was never just a backdrop. It was an active participant that mirrored and influenced human emotions and thoughts. Option D is incorrect because Romantics believed nature was fundamentally and deeply relevant to human experience, often portraying a deep connection between the human soul and the natural world. 11. Which of the following is a common characteristic of Southern Gothic literature? A. Emphasis on urban settings and modern life. B. Exploration of social issues through dark humour and grotesque elements. C. A focus on historical accuracy and realism. D. A celebration of traditional Southern values. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. Exploration of social issues through dark humour and grotesque elements. Explanation. Option B is correct because Southern Gothic literature often examines the social and moral decay of the American South by using damaged, bizarre characters, dark humour, and disturbing events to critique issues like racism, poverty, and violence. Option A is incorrect because Southern Gothic is typically set in rural, decaying Southern environments, not bustling modern cities. Option C is incorrect because while it is set in the South, the genre distorts reality with grotesque and supernatural elements and is not focused on strict realism. Option D is incorrect because Southern Gothic literature critiques and deconstructs the romanticised Moonlight and Magnolia's view of the Old South, rather than celebrating its traditional values. 12. What is the purpose of a Bildungsroman in literature? A. To depict a character's downfall. B. To showcase the heroic journey of a protagonist. C. To illustrate a character's personal growth and development. D. To focus on collective social experiences. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. C. To illustrate a character's personal growth and development. Explanation. Option C is correct because a Bildungsroman, or novel of formation, is a genre that follows the psychological and moral growth of a protagonist from youth to adulthood, focusing on their journey of self-discovery. Option A is incorrect because this describes a tragedy, where a protagonist experiences a downfall, not growth. Option B is incorrect because while the protagonist's journey might have heroic elements, the core focus of a Bildungsroman is on internal moral and psychological development, not necessarily external heroic deeds. Option D is incorrect because a Bildungsroman is centred on the journey of an individual, although their growth is often shaped by their social environment. 13. How do post-colonial writers typically address themes of identity? A. By ignoring cultural differences. B. By exploring the impacts of colonialism on personal and collective identities. C. By promoting a singular national identity. D. By focusing exclusively on historical events. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. By exploring the impacts of colonialism on personal and collective identities. Explanation. Option B is correct because post-colonial literature is fundamentally concerned with the legacy of colonialism. It examines how colonization has fractured and reshaped individual and national identities, leading to a complex mix of native and colonizer cultures. Option A is incorrect because post-colonial literature does the opposite. It actively highlights and analyzes cultural differences and the power dynamics they represent. Option C is incorrect because rather than promoting a single, monolithic identity, post-colonial writers often explore hybrid, fragmented and multifaceted identities that arose from the colonial encounter. Option D is incorrect because while historical events are the backdrop, the primary focus is on the lasting cultural, psychological, and social impacts of those events on people's identities. 14. Which narrative technique involves the retelling of a story from multiple perspectives? A. Monologue. B. Polyphony. C. Foreshadowing. D. Soliloquy. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Polyphony. Explanation: option B is correct because polyphony, a term coined by Mikhail Bakhtin, describes a narrative that features a diversity of independent voices and consciousnesses. It allows for multiple characters to present their unique perspectives without being subordinated to a single authorial viewpoint. Option A is incorrect because a monologue is a long speech by one character to other characters, representing only a single perspective. Option C is incorrect because foreshadowing is the hinting of future events and does not relate to narrative perspective. Option D is incorrect because a soliloquy is a speech in which a character, alone on stage, speaks their thoughts aloud, representing a single perspective. 15. What is a characteristic feature of feminist literature? A. The celebration of male protagonists and their journeys. B. The exploration of women's voices and experiences in various contexts. C. The avoidance of social issues in favour of personal narratives. D. The reinforcement of traditional gender roles. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. The exploration of women's voices and experiences in various contexts. Explanation: option B is correct because the central goal of feminist literature is to give voice to female experiences, challenge patriarchal structures, and explore how gender impacts identity, power, and society. Option A is incorrect because feminist literature critiques the traditional literary focus on male protagonists and seeks to centre female perspectives instead. Option C is incorrect because feminist literature inherently connects the personal with the political, using personal narratives to critique broader social issues related to gender. Option D is incorrect because feminist literature actively questions, critiques, and seeks to dismantle traditional gender roles and stereotypes, not to reinforce them. 16. Which of the following best defines metafiction? A. Fiction that strictly follows historical events. B. Fiction that draws attention to its own narrative and structure. C. Fiction that avoids character development. D. Fiction that adheres to traditional storytelling conventions. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Fiction that draws attention to its own narrative and structure. Explanation: option B is correct because metafiction is a style of writing where the text self-consciously acknowledges its own artificiality. The author might directly address the reader, comment on the process of writing, or play with narrative conventions to remind the reader they are reading a story. Option A is incorrect because this describes historical fiction, which aims to be grounded in history, whereas metafiction highlights its own fictional nature. Option C is incorrect because metafiction can and often does have well-developed characters whose development might even be part of the self-conscious commentary. Option D is incorrect because metafiction is defined by its tendency to break from and comment on traditional storytelling conventions, not adhere to them. 17. What is the significance of the stream of consciousness technique in literature? A. It simplifies the narrative to a linear progression. B. It captures the complexity of human thought processes. C. It limits character development to external actions. D. It emphasizes the importance of dialogue. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. It captures the complexity of human thought processes. Explanation. Option B is correct because the primary purpose and significance of stream of consciousness is to provide a more realistic representation of the human mind. It presents a character's thoughts, feelings, and memories as a continuous, often jumbled and non-linear flow. Option A is incorrect because stream of consciousness is typically non-linear and associative, making the narrative more complex, not simpler. Option C is incorrect because the technique does the opposite. It focuses on a character's inner life and psychology rather than just their external actions. Option D is incorrect because stream of consciousness prioritizes a character's internal monologue over external dialogue with others. 18. How does magical realism challenge traditional narrative conventions? A. By adhering to realistic and linear storytelling. B. By presenting the fantastical as ordinary within realistic settings. C. By avoiding character development. D. By focusing solely on the supernatural elements. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. By presenting the fantastical as ordinary within realistic settings. Explanation. Option B is correct because magical realism subverts the reader's expectation that the real and the magical are separate. By treating extraordinary events as mundane, it challenges the conventional boundaries of reality in storytelling. Option A is incorrect because magical realism specifically breaks from strict realism by introducing fantastical elements, and its narrative is not always linear. Option C is incorrect because characters in magical realism are often deeply developed, and their reactions to magical events are central to the genre. Option D is incorrect because magical realism is distinct from pure fantasy. Its power comes from the blend of the supernatural with a grounded, realistic world, not from a sole focus on the supernatural. 19. Which literary term refers to the underlying message or insight in a work? A. Theme. B. Tone. C. Style. D. Plot. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, A. Theme. Explanation. Option A is correct because the theme is the central, unifying idea, topic or message explored in a literary work. It is the broader insight about life or human nature that the author conveys to the reader. Option B is incorrect because tone refers to the author's or narrator's attitude toward the subject matter or the audience. Option C is incorrect because style refers to the author's unique way of using language, including word choice, sentence structure, and figurative language. Option D is incorrect because the plot is the sequence of events that make up the story, not its underlying message. 20. In the context of literature, what does intertextuality refer to? A. The exclusive focus on a single text without reference to others. B. The relationship and connections between different texts. C. The chronological arrangement of events in a narrative. D. The development of character arcs over time. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. The relationship and connections between different texts. Explanation. Option B is correct because intertextuality is the concept that all texts are part of a larger conversation and are inherently linked. It describes the way that texts reference, allude to, or are influenced by other texts, creating layers of meaning. Option A is incorrect because this is the opposite of intertextuality. which emphasizes connections, not isolation. Option C is incorrect because the chronological arrangement of events is the plot or timeline of a story. Option D is incorrect because the development of character arcs is a component of characterization and plot, not the relationship between texts. 21. Which of the following best characterizes satire? A straightforward depiction of events without critique. B, a humorous critique of societal norms and issues. C, a celebration of traditional values. D, a focus solely on personal experiences. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B, a humorous critique of societal norms and issues. Explanation. Option B is correct because satire uses humour, irony, exaggeration or ridicule to expose and criticise foolishness, corruption, or vice in individuals, institutions or society, with the goal of prompting improvement. Option A is incorrect because the entire purpose of satire is to critique, not to provide a straightforward depiction. Option C is incorrect because satire is typically critical and subversive of traditional or established values and norms, not celebratory. Option D is incorrect because while satire can be personal, its focus is generally on broader social or political issues rather than purely individual experiences. (22) What is a common theme explored in dystopian literature? A, the idealization of government authority. B, the exploration of individual freedom versus societal control. C, the celebration of technological advancements. D, the reinforcement of traditional values. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B, the exploration of individual freedom versus societal control. Explanation. Option B is correct because a central conflict in nearly all dystopian literature is the struggle of the individual against an oppressive, controlling society. The genre explores what happens when personal freedom is sacrificed for perceived order or stability. Option A is incorrect because dystopian literature warns against the dangers of absolute government authority rather than idealizing it. Option C is incorrect because dystopian works often portray technological advancements as tools of oppression, surveillance, and control, not as something to be celebrated. Option D is incorrect because dystopian societies often enforce their values in an extreme and dehumanizing way. The literature critiques this reinforcement rather than supporting it. 23. Which literary device is characterized by the use of extreme exaggeration for effect? A, hyperbole. B, personification. C, symbolism. D, alliteration. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. A, hyperbole. Explanation. Option A is correct because hyperbole is the intentional and extreme exaggeration of a statement for emphasis or humorous effect, not meant to be taken literally. Option B is incorrect because personification is the attribution of human qualities or actions to inanimate objects or abstract ideas. Option C is incorrect because symbolism is the use of objects or ideas to represent deeper, abstract meanings. Option D is incorrect because alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds in a sequence of words. 24. How does the use of symbolism enrich a literary work? A, it provides straightforward explanations of characters' motivations. B, it adds depth by conveying abstract ideas through tangible images. C, it limits interpretation to a single meaning. D, it removes ambiguity from the narrative. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. It adds depth by conveying abstract ideas through tangible images. Explanation. Option B is correct because symbolism allows an author to communicate complex, abstract concepts through concrete objects or images, adding layers of meaning that enrich the reader's experience. Option A is incorrect because symbols are rarely straightforward. Their power lies in their suggestive and multi-layered nature. Option C is incorrect because a strong symbol often invites multiple interpretations, adding to the richness of the text rather than limiting it. Option D is incorrect because symbolism often introduces ambiguity and requires interpretation, deepening the narrative rather than simplifying it. 25. Which of the following is a defining characteristic of modernist literature? A. A return to romantic themes and ideals. B. An exploration of fragmented narratives and subjective experiences. C. A focus on historical accuracy and realism. D. A celebration of traditional storytelling methods. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. An exploration of fragmented narrative and subjective experiences. Explanation. Option B is correct because modernism, emerging from the disillusionment of the early 20th century, is characterized by a break with tradition. It often features non-linear plots, stream of consciousness, and a deep focus on the individual's inner subjective reality in a chaotic world. Option A is incorrect because modernism was a reaction against the conventions of 19th century literature, including Romanticism. Option C is incorrect because while some modernist works are realistic, the movement's defining feature is its focus on subjective perception rather than objective historical accuracy. Option D is incorrect because modernism is known for its experimental nature and its rejection of traditional linear storytelling methods. 26. What is the main purpose of allegorical writing? A. To present events in a straightforward manner. B. To convey complex ideas through symbolic storytelling. C. To focus solely on character development. D. To reinforce existing societal norms. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. To convey complex ideas through symbolic storytelling. Explanation. Option B is correct because the primary purpose of an allegory is to use its characters, setting, and plot as an extended metaphor to deliver a broader moral, political, or philosophical message. Option A is incorrect because allegory is inherently indirect and symbolic, not straightforward. The literal story is a vehicle for a deeper meaning. Option C is incorrect because in an allegory, characters often represent abstract concepts and may be less psychologically complex than characters in other forms of fiction. Option D is incorrect because allegories are often used to critique or question existing societal norms, not necessarily to reinforce them. 27. Which term describes literature that critiques societal norms through humour and absurdity? A. Tragedy. B. Farce. C. Satire. D. Parody. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, C. Satire. Explanation. Option C is correct because satire is a genre that uses humour, irony, exaggeration, and absurdity, specifically to expose and critique societal flaws, with the intent of shaming institutions or individuals into improvement. Option A is incorrect because a tragedy is a serious genre that deals with suffering and a protagonist's downfall. Option B is incorrect because a farce is a comedy that uses highly exaggerated and absurd situations for pure entertainment, but it typically lacks the critical, corrective purpose of satire. Option D is incorrect because a parody imitates the style of a particular work, author, or genre for comic effect, which can be a tool of satire but is not the same thing. Parody is imitation. Satire is critique. 28. How does the narrative perspective influence a story? A. It determines the events that will occur. B. It shapes the reader's understanding and emotional connection. C. It has no impact on the overall narrative. D. It simplifies complex themes. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. It shapes the reader's understanding and emotional connection. Explanation. Option B is correct because the narrative perspective controls the information the reader receives and whose thoughts and feelings they have access to. This directly shapes how readers interpret events and how they connect emotionally with the characters. Option A is incorrect because the plot determines the events. The narrative perspective determines how those events are presented to the reader. Option C is incorrect because narrative perspective is one of the most fundamental elements of storytelling and has a profound impact on the narrative. Option D is incorrect because a skillful use of perspective, such as using multiple or unreliable narrators, can actually make themes more complex and nuanced. 29. In literature, what is magical realism primarily concerned with? A. The strict separation of reality and fantasy. B. The blending of magical elements into realistic settings. C. The celebration of scientific advancements. D. The avoidance of emotional depth. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. The blending of magical elements into realistic settings. Explanation. Option B is correct because the defining feature of magical realism is the seamless integration of fantastical, mythical, or magical elements into an otherwise realistic, mundane world, treating the extraordinary as perfectly normal. Option A is incorrect because this describes the opposite of magical realism, which is concerned with blurring the line between reality and fantasy. Option C is incorrect because magical realism deals with the magical and mythical, not the scientific. This would be more characteristic of science fiction. Option D is incorrect because magical realism often uses its unique blend of real and unreal to explore deep emotional, political, and cultural themes. 30. Which of the following statements best describes minimalism in literature? A. The use of elaborate descriptions and complex narratives. B. A focus on simplicity and brevity in style and content. C. The avoidance of emotional or psychological depth. D. The celebration of extravagant language and imagery. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. A focus on simplicity and brevity in style and content. Explanation. Option B is correct because minimalism is characterized by an economy of words. It relies on spare, unadorned prose and surface-level description, leaving much unsaid for the reader to infer. The focus is on simplicity and letting actions and dialogue speak for themselves. Option A is incorrect because this describes a maximalist style, which is the opposite of minimalism. Option C is incorrect because minimalist fiction often conveys deep emotional and psychological turmoil, but it does so through subtext and implication rather than direct explanation. Option D is incorrect because minimalism avoids extravagant language and imagery in favour of plain, direct, and precise prose. 31. What theme is often explored in existential literature? A. The celebration of traditional values and norms. B. the search for meaning in a chaotic and indifferent universe. C. The idealization of societal structures. D. The reinforcement of moral absolutism. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. The search for meaning in a chaotic and indifferent universe. Explanation? Option B is correct because existentialist literature is centered on themes of individual freedom, responsibility, and the struggle to find meaning and purpose in a world that is seen as inherently meaningless or absurd. Option A is incorrect because existentialism questions all external sources of value, including tradition, and emphasizes that individuals must create their own values. Option C is incorrect because existentialism is highly critical of societal structures that might impose a sense of purpose and limit individual freedom. Option D is incorrect because existentialism rejects moral absolutism, arguing instead that morality is subjective and created by individual choice. 32. Which literary device enhances the emotional impact of a narrative by appealing to the senses? A. Symbolism. B. Imagery. C. Foreshadowing. D. Irony. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. Imagery. Explanation. Option B is correct because imagery is the use of descriptive language that appeals to the five senses. By creating vivid sensory experiences for the reader, it enhances the emotional atmosphere of the text. Option A is incorrect because symbolism operates on an intellectual level, connecting an object to an abstract idea rather than directly appealing to the senses. Option C is incorrect because foreshadowing builds suspense and expectation by hinting at future events. Option D is incorrect because irony creates a contrast between expectation and reality, engaging the reader's intellect more than their senses. 33. In which way does the use of foreshadowing affect a narrative? A. It provides a clear and direct explanation of events. B. It creates suspense and anticipation for future events. C. It simplifies the plot for readers. D. It focuses solely on character motivations. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. It creates suspense and anticipation for future events. Explanation. Option B is correct because foreshadowing works by planting clues or hints about what is to come later in the story. This makes the reader curious and builds tension and anticipation as they wait to see how these hints will play out. Option A is incorrect because foreshadowing is subtle and indirect by nature. It hints rather than explains directly. Option C is incorrect because foreshadowing can add layers of complexity and meaning to a plot, encouraging readers to look for connections and patterns. Option D is incorrect because while foreshadowing can hint at a character's future actions or fate, its primary function is related to plot development and building atmosphere. 34. What is the main focus of confessional poetry? A. The celebration of nature and beauty. B. The exploration of personal experiences and emotions. C. The critique of societal norms. D. The retelling of historical events. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. The exploration of personal experiences and emotions. Explanation. Option B is correct because confessional poetry is a style of poetry that emerged in the mid-20th century, characterized by its intensely personal and autobiographical subject matter. Poets often explore private, sometimes taboo, subjects like mental illness, trauma, and sexuality. Option A is incorrect because this is more characteristic of romantic or pastoral poetry. Option C is incorrect because while confessional poetry can contain social critique, its primary focus is on the intimate, internal world of the poet. Option D is incorrect because this describes historical or epic poetry, which focuses on external events rather than the poet's personal life. 35. Which of the following best defines the grotesque in literature? A focus on beauty and harmony. B, the depiction of bizarre, unsettling or exaggerated elements. C, the celebration of traditional narratives and characters. D, the avoidance of dark themes. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B, the depiction of bizarre, unsettling or exaggerated elements. Explanation. Option B is correct because the grotesque in literature involves the use of characters, images, or situations that are distorted, bizarre, or comically or horrifyingly ugly. It is used to simultaneously evoke empathy and disgust, often to explore the darker aspects of human nature. Option A is incorrect because the grotesque is the opposite of traditional beauty and harmony. Option C is incorrect because the grotesque distorts and subverts traditional and normative ideas of character and narrative. Option D is incorrect because the grotesque is fundamentally linked to the exploration of dark, disturbing, and uncomfortable themes. 36. What is the primary purpose of a frame narrative? A, to simplify complex narratives. B, to provide context and background for the main story. C, to restrict the perspective to a single viewpoint. D, to create a straightforward linear structure. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B, to provide context and background for the main story. Explanation. Option B is correct because a frame narrative is a storytelling technique where an introductory main story is presented for the purpose of setting the stage for a second, more central narrative. It provides context, a reason for the telling of the inner story, and can influence how the reader interprets it. Option A is incorrect because a frame narrative adds a layer of complexity to a story, rather than simplifying it. Option C is incorrect because a frame narrative inherently involves at least two perspectives or story levels. Option D is incorrect because it creates a story within a story structure, which is less straightforward than a single linear narrative. 37. In literary terms, what does epiphany refer to? A moment of confusion and chaos. B, a sudden realization or insight experienced by a character. C, the gradual development of a character. D, the clear resolution of conflicts. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B, a sudden realization or insight experienced by a character. Explanation. Option B is correct because an epiphany is a moment in a story where a character achieves a sudden, profound realization, awareness, or insight that changes their understanding of themselves or their world. Option A is incorrect because an epiphany is a moment of clarity, not confusion. The confusion may precede it, but the epiphany itself is the moment of understanding. Option C is incorrect because an epiphany is by definition sudden, not gradual. Gradual development is part of a character arc, but an epiphany is a specific, pivotal moment. Option D is incorrect because an epiphany is an internal event for a character and does not necessarily resolve the external conflicts of the plot. 38. Which literary form focuses primarily on the exploration of human emotions and inner thoughts? A, drama. B, poetry, C, fiction, D, non-fiction. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B, poetry. Explanation, option B is correct because poetry, particularly lyric poetry, is the literary form most associated with the concentrated expression of personal emotions, feelings and thoughts. It uses condensed language, rhythm and imagery to convey inner experience. Option A is incorrect because drama focuses on conflict expressed through dialogue and action, which can reveal emotion but is primarily external. Option C is incorrect because while fiction certainly explores emotions, it is also driven by plot, setting, and external events. Poetry is more singularly focused on the internal state. Option D is incorrect because non-fiction is concerned with conveying facts and information about the real world. 39. What is the main characteristic of a tragedy in literature? A. The celebration of heroic achievements. B. The exploration of human suffering and downfall. C. The avoidance of moral lessons. D. The use of humour and satire. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. The exploration of human suffering and downfall. Explanation. Option B is correct because a tragedy is a form of drama based on human suffering that invokes catharsis, a feeling of pity and fear in the audience. It typically depicts the downfall of a noble or prominent protagonist, often due to a fatal flaw or a series of unfortunate events. Option A is incorrect because this is more characteristic of an epic, which celebrates the deeds of a hero. In tragedy, the hero's achievements are often what lead to their downfall. Option C is incorrect because tragedies are deeply concerned with moral questions and often explore complex ethical dilemmas. Option D is incorrect because tragedy is a serious genre. While some tragedies may contain moments of comic relief, their primary mode is not humour or satire. 40. How does the use of irony enhance a narrative? A. By creating straightforward and predictable outcomes. B. By highlighting contradictions and unexpected outcomes. C. By simplifying complex characters. D. By focusing solely on dialogue. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. By highlighting contradictions and unexpected outcomes. Explanation. Option B is correct because irony adds layers of meaning to a narrative by creating a gap between what is said and what is meant, what is expected and what occurs, or what a character knows and what the audience knows. Option A is incorrect because irony works by subverting expectations, making outcomes less predictable and more thought-provoking. Option C is incorrect because irony often reveals the complexities and contradictions within characters, making them more, not less, complex. Option D is incorrect because irony can be present in narration, plot events, and character thoughts, not just in dialogue. 41. Which literary term refers to a brief, witty statement that expresses a general truth? A. Proverb. B. Aphorism. C. Parable. D. Allegory. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer, B. Aphorism. Explanation. Option B is correct because an aphorism is a concise, cleverly worded statement that expresses a general truth or observation about life. Aphorisms are often memorable and philosophical. Option A is incorrect because a proverb is also a short saying of truth, but it is typically a piece of traditional, anonymous folk wisdom, whereas an aphorism is often attributed to a specific author and is more literary in nature. Option C is incorrect because a parable is a short story designed to teach a moral or spiritual lesson. Option D is incorrect because an allegory is a long, extended narrative that functions as a metaphor. 42. What is the primary purpose of exposition in a narrative? A. To create tension and conflict. B. To provide background information and set the stage for the story. C. To conclude the narrative and resolve conflicts. D. To develop character arcs. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer, B. To provide background information and set the stage for the story. Explanation. Option B is correct because exposition is the part of a story, usually at the beginning, that provides essential background information about the characters, setting, and basic situation, exposing the reader to the world of the story. Option A is incorrect because exposition establishes the status quo before the inciting incident introduces conflict and creates tension. Option C is incorrect because this describes the resolution or denouement of a story, which occurs at the end. Option D is incorrect because while exposition introduces characters, their development happens through the rising action, climax, and falling action of the plot. 43. How does the setting influence character development in literature? A. It remains irrelevant to character arcs. B. It shapes characters' experiences, motivations, and conflicts. C. It solely focuses on historical accuracy. D. It simplifies character interactions. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. It shapes characters' experiences, motivations, and conflicts. Explanation. Option B is correct because the setting, the time, place, and social environment of a story, provides the context in which characters live. It presents them with opportunities and limitations, influencing their values, shaping their conflicts, and motivating their actions, thereby playing a crucial role in their development. Option A is incorrect because in well-crafted literature, the setting is rarely irrelevant. It almost always has a significant impact on the characters. Option C is incorrect because while a setting can be historically accurate, its primary literary function is to affect character and plot, not just to be a factual backdrop. Option D is incorrect because a rich and complex setting can create more nuanced and complicated character interactions, not simplify them. 44. Which literary movement is characterized by a focus on realism and the depiction of everyday life? A. Romanticism. B. Naturalism. C. Modernism. D. Surrealism. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. Naturalism. Explanation. Option B is correct because naturalism, an offshoot of realism, is characterized by its attempt to apply scientific objectivity to the study of human beings. It depicts realistic, often gritty everyday life and suggests that characters are controlled by forces like heredity and environment. Option A is incorrect because Romanticism focused on emotion, the sublime and the supernatural, reacting against the rationalism of the Enlightenment. Option C is incorrect because Modernism focused on subjective experience, fragmentation, and psychological reality rather than the objective depiction of everyday life. Option D is incorrect because Surrealism sought to unlock the power of the unconscious mind and is characterized by bizarre, dreamlike imagery, not realism. 45. In which way does a Bildungsroman typically conclude? A. With the protagonist's complete failure. B. With the protagonist achieving personal growth and maturity. C. With the avoidance of character development. D. With a focus on societal critiques. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. With the protagonist achieving personal growth and maturity. Explanation. Option B is correct because the entire trajectory of a Bildungsroman is a journey of formation. The narrative arc concludes when the protagonist has successfully navigated their youthful struggles and integrated into society with a newfound sense of identity and maturity. Option A is incorrect because this would be more typical of a tragedy. A Bildungsroman is fundamentally about successful development. Option C is incorrect because a Bildungsroman is, by definition, centered entirely on character development. Option D is incorrect because while a Bildungsroman often involves societal critiques as part of the protagonist's journey, the ultimate focus of the conclusion is on the individual's personal maturation. 46. What is the primary theme explored in existentialist literature? A. The celebration of societal norms and values. B. The quest for meaning in an indifferent universe. C. The idealization of human relationships. D. The reinforcement of moral absolutism. What do you think is the answer? Correct answer. B. The quest for meaning in an indifferent universe. Explanation. Option B is correct because the core of existentialist thought is the conflict between the human tendency to seek inherent value and meaning in life and the apparent lack of any in a chaotic, purposeless universe. Existentialist literature explores this struggle. Option A is incorrect because existentialism is highly critical of societal norms, arguing they are external impositions that hinder authentic self-creation. Option C is incorrect because while relationships are explored, they are often portrayed as complex, difficult, and another source of existential angst rather than being idealized. Option D is incorrect because existentialism rejects moral absolutism, positing that individuals are condemned to be free and must create their own ethical code. 47. Which of the following best characterizes intertextuality? A. The avoidance of references to other texts. B. The relationship between different literary works and their influences. C. The focus on a single narrative perspective. D. The development of a linear plot. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. The relationship between different literary works and their influences. Explanation. Option B is correct because intertextuality is the idea that texts are always in conversation with one another. It refers to the web of connections, references, allusions, and transformations that link different literary works, creating meaning through these relationships. Option A is incorrect because this is the opposite of intertextuality, which posits that no text can be truly isolated. Option C is incorrect because this refers to narrative point of view, a separate literary concept. Option D is incorrect because this refers to plot structure, not the relationship between different texts. 48. What is the primary focus of dystopian literature? A. The exploration of idyllic societies. B. The depiction of totalitarian regimes and their impacts on individuals. C. The celebration of technological progress. D. The reinforcement of traditional values. Do you know the answer? Correct answer. B. The depiction of totalitarian regimes and their impacts on individuals. Explanation. Option B is correct because dystopian literature is a form of speculative fiction that explores social and political structures gone wrong. Its primary focus is on critiquing oppressive, totalitarian systems and showing their devastating consequences for human freedom, identity, and spirit. Option A is incorrect because this describes utopian literature, the direct opposite of dystopia. Option C is incorrect because in dystopian fiction, technological progress is most often shown as a tool for control, surveillance, and dehumanization, not as a cause for celebration. Option D is incorrect because dystopian regimes often enforce a twisted version of traditional values to maintain control, and the literature critiques this oppressive enforcement. 49. In literature, what does tone refer to? A. The chronological order of events. B. The author's attitude toward the subject or audience. C. The physical setting of the narrative. D. The development of character arcs. Do you know the answer? Correct answer, B. The author's attitude toward the subject or audience. Explanation. Option B is correct because tone is the emotional colouring or attitude of the writing. It reflects the author's feelings toward the subject matter, characters or reader, and it can be described with adjectives like sarcastic, sombre, humorous, or formal. Option A is incorrect because the chronological order of events is the plot or timeline. Option C is incorrect because the physical setting is the time and place of the story. Option D is incorrect because the development of character arcs is a part of characterization. 50. How does the use of dialogue contribute to character development? A. It provides minimal information about characters. B. It reveals characters' thoughts, motivations, and relationships. C. It complicates the narrative unnecessarily. D. It focuses solely on plot advancement. Can you guess the answer? Correct answer. B. It reveals characters' thoughts, motivations, and relationships. Explanation. Option B is correct because dialogue is a crucial tool for characterization. Through what characters say, how they say it, and what they leave unsaid, readers gain insight into their personalities, backgrounds, motivations, and their relationships with other characters. Option A is incorrect because effective dialogue provides a wealth of information about characters both directly and indirectly. Option C is incorrect because well-written dialogue is essential for a compelling narrative. It doesn't complicate it unnecessarily. Option D is incorrect because while dialogue can advance the plot by conveying information, its other primary role is to reveal character. You have reached the end of our first question set. For the free complete exam preparation, visit our website link in the description, where you find thousands more practice questions and comprehensive study guides. Thanks for studying with us today. See you in the next video.